So guys, when it comes to my physical media collection, I do this weird thing. I like to come in here, try to figure out what I want to watch, and then eventually just kind of gaze into the abyss of this place, looking at titles and remembering whether I purchased it from the store or online, how old I was, what it meant to me, or what its relevance was. And I looked at this certain title, and I didn't really realize the relevance until just now. Now, this is a title that I purchased years ago, and when I purchased it, it had already been out for a number of years. The release is, in fact, a DVD release, and I think it even had a Blu-ray release at the time, which was a very much more lesser-pressed version of it, which I think is actually fairly collectible today. And it got me thinking, wow, this title was probably very, very important in the world of horror physical media. Because if you look at horror physical media today, one of the things that we see now, especially with slasher films or movies that had, basically movies that were made during that time, because let's face it, the MPAA were monsters. You know, there's a reason why for years fans wanted to see the death sequences from Friday the 13th Part 2, which we haven't officially gotten into the movie cut yet, but we did get those special features onto the Blu-ray that came out from Scream Factory, and fans have subsequently put that footage into the film and interspliced it and fixed the audio to make it, you know, work for that sort of thing, which is amazing. I think that the idea of uncut versions of movies or the cut you've never seen before was something that was a little bit of a lure to begin with, because there were titles that came out uncut during the VHS home video days. New Line Cinema got to be pretty good at things like that. We know, of course, one of the biggest VHS releases was probably Jason Goes to Hell at the time, because it was marketed as the uncut version. It was a big deal when that came out. But a lot of those movies, they didn't have that. You know, footage was either sitting in a vault, destroyed, maybe it was found. But this DVD release, I think, was a game changer. I think this DVD release was very important in making it almost a standard. Like, if there's footage out there, we want these companies looking for it. We want them going out for it. And I think it was very important. So the DVD release in question is what we're going to look at today. That movie is a 1980s slasher film from Paramount Pictures. The DVD release is of My Bloody Valentine. Now, let me tell you guys this story. You know, I've told the story 1,000 times about how I got into horror, right? Long story short, I saw Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. It blew my brains out. I continued to watch the films, fell in love with it. After watching Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacres, I started to venture out a little bit. You know, then I watched movies like Reanimator, and then that opened the floodgates. I started to creep into what was known as the slasher genre. That term wasn't really something in my head at that point either, but I started looking into these sort of things, and sure enough, I did some Google images and found one of the movies to be My Bloody Valentine. This is one of the only times this has ever happened to me. This is a very unique thing to happen, because usually when you go out looking for something, you don't find it. So the year is probably 2011-12, okay? I'm going to one of my used video game stores, which has a big DVD section. You go out there, you can get DVDs for $4. I've even kept mine on here, $4.95 for this. I said to myself, wow, My Bloody Valentine. That sounds like a hell of a movie. So I wanted to go pick this up. I go to the video store, or the DVD store, the video game DVD store, whatever you want to call it, and I start perusing the DVD shelves. Sure enough, there it is on the shelf. I walked right to it, damn near. I looked in the M section. I knew that it was MY, so I'm looking at the end of the M section. It was staring me right in the face. My Bloody Valentine. I couldn't believe it. At the time, I didn't realize the significance of this release, right? I look at this and I'm thinking to myself, oh wow, this says includes never before seen deleted footage. This is something that had to have been a game changer. And I know, looking up DVD reviews of this when it came out, subsequently a little while ago, when I was like, I need to talk about this DVD release, There were reviews of this movie when it came out that people were like, this is incredible. We need to do this for more movies. We need to uncover the footage. We need to put it together. That's just so remarkable to me that this happened. So let's look into this a little bit. What's really interesting about this release is, number one, this. So My Bloody Valentine was a Paramount Pictures release, but it was distributed by Lionsgate. I can't think of another instance where Paramount licensed out Lionsgate to put out the home movie. So as you'll see on the side right here, it says Paramount, but then it says distributed by Lionsgate, which is just so bizarre. This DVD goes home with me. I look it over, and I remember reading on the front, includes never before seen footage. So the first thing I did, which is kind of weird, is I got it home, I took my DVD out, and I said, let me just watch the movie. I want to see what people witnessed on home video, on Laserdisc and VHS and that sort of thing. And I loved it. I thought My Bloody Valentine was this incredible movie. The cast was sensational. What I love about My Bloody Valentine is you can really kind of relate to a character in the group, right? There were characters that are a little bit off and quirky and weird like me. You had the guy that left and came back that was, you know, trying to win his girl back. And then you had the guy who was dating the girl who had a relationship with her. And I think a lot of people can relate to that too. I think a lot of us have been on the side of the coin to where somebody's trying to steal our girl, which is never fun. I put in the movie again a day or so later, and I select watch the movie with the added extra death scenes. Watching My Bloody Valentine with the extra death scenes on this DVD was incredible because the quality of it was not sensational. This was before the idea of probably taking the footage, or before the standard practice, really, of taking the footage and then trying to remaster it, upscale it, that sort of thing. When you watch that version of this DVD release, guys, what was so remarkable about it was it felt like you were seeing something you shouldn't be seeing. There was some crazy added footage. There was a sequence with hot dogs and boiling water. There was gross blood sequences. And the idea of seeing it in this almost guerrilla way with this footage spliced in was remarkable. It made me question, like, almost, why do they do that? This seems so taboo, right? But looking back now, I think I look at this release as truly a game changer. I think this is one of the most important horror DVD releases there was. And the irony was, like, you would have thought maybe that would have come from Anchor Bay as well, but it wasn't. This was Paramount and Lionsgate. So I think that the director, George Mihalka, was very involved in this and making this happen. And I wonder if there were forums. I wonder if there were people begging for this sort of thing to happen beforehand. I know that there are still a ton of movies that people would love to see the uncut footage from. And without My Bloody Valentine's DVD release, I question how popular this sort of thing would be today. Because I can understand maybe before seeing something like this, you may not say to yourself, well, if it's not going to, I don't know, if it's cut, maybe it's cut for a reason, right? I think that could be part of the question that people have. But when it comes to slasher films, seeing this sort of stuff in the movie, it was incredible. It made me say to myself after seeing it, I never want to see a movie that doesn't have the extended cut scenes in it. Are you kidding me? If it was filmed, put it in there. You know, this is just showing that the MPAA is just trying to censor this stuff because they didn't want us to see it, not because it wasn't good, which is something I had a preconceived notion of. If it was cut, that means it just wasn't good. This is before I realized the struggle between the gore and MPAA at the time. So this release, to me, I think is one of the most important DVD releases of all time. I think it set a precedent for the future, and I think it set a standard for horror fans of, hey guys, find the footage, get the footage, put it in the movie, do what you got to do. We need to see this the way it was supposed to be seen, which is something I think a lot of directors would probably like anyway. So let's have a look at this DVD release, guys, up close. This is the special edition My Bloody Valentine release. It says includes never before seen deleted footage. Cross your heart and hope to die. And like I said, what's so interesting about this DVD release is the fact that it was Paramount but distributed by Lionsgate. How many times has that ever happened? I don't know. 20 years after a Valentine's Day tragedy, a small town prepares for its annual holiday dance. When a box of candy arrives containing an eerie warning and a blood-soaked heart, the townsfolk realize that this Valentine's Day romance is as good as dead, and so are they. Special features Bloodlust, My Bloody Valentine, and the rise of the slasher film. Bloodlines, an interactive horror film history. Deleted footage with director, cast, and special effects designer introductions, English and Spanish subtitles. And this is so cool. Watch the deleted footage separately or as part of the film. That's something that still isn't done well enough. Now we get movies that, they'll give us the footage, but and there are exceptions like Friday the 13th Part 2. Obviously, let's say Scream Factory might have wanted to do that. They didn't have in time. They already had a release date set. They found this footage at the last second and scrambled to get it just on the special features of the Blu-ray. I can forgive that. But a lot of times, for instance, Jaws the Revenge just came out in 4K. They remastered the TV cut ending, or I think some people even said that was the ending in the theater. I can't remember. But basically the scene where the boat stabs the shark, right? They remastered that for the special features, but why not give us the option to watch the movie like that? They didn't do that. This DVD release did it literally the perfect blueprint. Get the footage, put it in the release, make it a part of the movie, or if you want to watch it separately, you can do that too. Because maybe some people don't like the jarring picture quality change, and I can understand that. But this was done so well. I look at this release as not only one of the most important horror DVD releases of all time, but as a blueprint of the right way to do this sort of thing. So I think this is actually a physical media release, guys, that you should have in your collection for sure. And it's definitely a piece of horror film history. So My Bloody Valentine, man. There it is. What a cool release. Yeah, looking back at this is one of the most important days of my physical media collecting journey, because my love for horror and physical media coincided with each other. Physical media was a way for me to become closer to the horror movies that I love. And I'm so glad I never got rid of this. Now, obviously, Scream Factory has taken this special footage and remastered it, and now it's all seamless. You can get My Bloody Valentine on 4K and have it look crystal clear and great. But you can't take away the fact that without this DVD release, maybe that footage would have eventually gotten taken out, destroyed. Who knows? This DVD release, I think, is so important in the annals of horror movie, slasher movie, physical media history. And I think it's something a lot of us should try to get our hands on if you can't. So go check your DVD stores. Go out and look for this. This is a piece that I think is just so worthy of being in your collection. And in terms of horror history, I look at this as probably one of, if not the most important horror DVD releases of all time. It set the bar, and it continues to just wow me when I look at it. What an awesome DVD release. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know if you have the classic My Bloody Valentine DVD release in your collection. Take care. Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.